Chapter 53. The history of Herod after the death of Antigonus. When Herod was certified of the death of Antigonus, he considered himself secure that no one of the royal Asmonean family would contend with him. Wherefore he employed himself in advancing the dignities, in kindness and promotions, of those who were well inclined to him and obeyed his will. He also exerted himself in destroying those persons, together with their families, and in plundering their cattle and their goods, who had oppressed him. And he oppressed persons, taking away their property, and despoiling all those who had shaken off obedience to the Jews, and slew those who resisted him, and plundered their goods. Also he made an agreement with all those who were obedient to him, that they should pay him money. He also stationed guards at the gate of the holy house, who might search those who went out, and take whatever gold or silver they should find on anyone, and bring it to him. He also ordered the coffins of the dead to be searched, and whatever money any persons might endeavor to carry out by stratagem, the same to be taken. And he heaped together so much money as none of the kings of the second house had amassed. Chapter 54. The history of Hyrcanus, the son of Alexander, the uncle of Antigonus, and of his return into Jerusalem at the request of Herod, and of the death to which he put him. Hyrcanus, after that the king of the Persians had set him at liberty, remained in Hyrcan in a most respectable condition and great honor. Wherefore Herod was afraid lest anything might induce the king of the Persians to appoint him king, and send him into the land of Judah. Wherefore, wishing to set his mind at rest, he laid plots for this business, and sent to the king of the Persians a very great present and a letter, in which he made mention of Hyrcanus's deserts and kind deeds towards him, and how he had gone to Rome on account of what Antigonus, his brother's son, had done to him, and that having now attained the throne, and his affairs being in order, he wished to reward him in a proper manner for the benefits for which he had conferred. So the king of the Persians sent a messenger to Hyrcanus, saying, If you wish to return into the land of Judah, return, but I warn you to beware of Herod. And I distinctly inform you that he does not seek for you to do you any good, but his design is to render himself secure, as there is no one remaining whom he fears except you. Wherefore take heed of him most diligently, and be not led into a snare. The Jews of Babylon also came to him, and said to him the like words. Again they say to him, You now are an old man, and not fit to discharge the office of high priest, because of the stain which your nephew inflicted on you. But Herod is a bad man and a shedder of blood, and he recalls you only because he fears you, and you do not want for anything among us. And you are with us in that station in which you ought to be. And your family there is in the best condition. Wherefore remain with us, and do not aid your enemy against yourself. But Hyrcanus acceded not to their words, nor listened to the advice of one who advised him well. And he set out and journeyed till he came to the holy city, for the very great longing which he had towards the house of God, his family, and his country. And when he had come near to the city, Herod met him, showing such honor and magnificence, that Hyrcanus was deceived and trusted in him. And Herod, in the public assembly and before his own friends, used to call him Father, but nevertheless he ceased not to devise plots in his heart, only so that there should be not imputed to him. Wherefore Alexandra and Mariamne, his daughter, go to Hyrcanus, putting him in fear of Herod, and counseling him to take care of himself. But neither to them did he attend, although they repeated this to him again and again, advising him to flee to some one of the kings of the Arabians. Yet he attended not to all these things until they drove him to it by repeated warnings and alarmings. Then therefore he wrote to that king of Arabia, and having sent for a certain man, whose brother Herod had slain, and had confiscated his goods, and had visited him with many evils, he told him that he wished to impart to him a certain secret, adjuring him not to tell it to anyone. And giving him money, and the letter to the king of the Arabians, communicated to him what he requested in the letter. So the messenger, having received the letter, thought that he should obtain a high post with Herod, and should remove from himself the evil which he had continually feared at his hands, if he communicated the matter to Herod, and that this would be more profitable to him than the keeping of Hyrcanus' secret, since in the other case he was not safe, and sure that the thing would not be told to Herod at some time or another, and thus would be the cause of his destruction. He therefore carried the letter to Herod, and unfolded to him the whole business, and said to him, Carry the letter, as it is, to the king of the Arabians, and bring me back his answer, that I may know it. Tell me also the place where the men will be, whom the king of the Arabians will send, that Hyrcanus may go back with them. So the messenger went and carried Hyrcanus' letter to the king of the Arabians, who rejoiced, and sent some of his men, ordering them to go to a certain place near to the holy city, and there to wait until Hyrcanus should come to them, and then to attend Hyrcanus till they brought him to his presence. He wrote likewise to Hyrcanus an answer to his letter, and sent it by the messenger. So the men proceeded with the messenger to the appointed place, and there waited. But the messenger carried the letter to Herod, who learned its contents. He told him also the place of the men, to whom Herod sent persons to take them. Afterward, having sent for 70 old men of the elders of the Jews, and having sent also for Hyrcanus, when he came, he said to them, Is there any interchange of letters between you and the king of the Arabians? And Hyrcanus said, No. Then he said to him, Did you send that you might flee to him? And he said, No. And Herod ordered his messenger to come forward, and the Arabians and the horses. He also brought out the answer to his letter, and it was read. Then he commanded Hyrcanus' head to be stricken off, and his head was stricken off, and no one dared to utter a word for him. Now Hyrcanus had delivered Herod from the death, which was justly awarded him in the assembly of judgment, commanding the assembly to be deferred till the morrow, and sending away Herod that same night, whence he was destined to become his murderer, regardless of his services to him and to his father. Hyrcanus was put to death when he was 80 years old, and he reigned 40 years. Nor was there any one of the kings of the Asmonean race of a more praiseworthy conduct or more honorable way of life.